Welcome to a look into the future. What would you do if you could go into the future and ask yourself a question? Luckily, we can just ask the time traveler himself, Paul Latham. Paul brings three amazing things to the show here today. He's built a successful accounting practice in the UK, so he understands accountants. In fact, he built his firm into an advisory powerhouse, which sold for $45 million in 2001. He's taken a business public, building it to the market value of an impressive $400 million plus. So he really understands what business owners need and value, and what we as accountants need to provide to them. And finally, most importantly, we don't need to invent time travel. We can just ask Paul and learn from the transition he made 20 years ago in the UK into providing business advisory services as that trend comes to the US marketplace today. I'm Garrett Wagner, your Entrepreneurial CPA channel host, and I'm excited to be joined by the legendary Paul Latham of Hayden Solutions. Now, Paul, since our last show, I've been thinking about what we talked about, and I want to hear more from you on the importance of being paid to be proactive with our clients and why the hourly based pricing model could very well be the worst idea ever.
Yeah, hi Garrett. Yeah, basically what we talked about last time was that CPAs are used to being reactive in style rather than proactive. Clients value proactive, but the CPA needs to understand that they need paid, and the hours-based model will probably prove worse than useless. Trust me, I've sort of tried this with clients. I've been proactively thinking about you for 5 hours, and I'd like to charge you 5 times my hourly charge out rate. And I can tell you now, they will very quickly suggest that they don't like that particular style. And what CPAs need to do is really create what I call a defined and structured process around the proactive advice if they want to get paid and sustain that advice over many years. And you see, really this thinking goes back to the 1990s, because certainly in the UK, the word proactive came into vogue in that period. But my problem really was how to get paid. Because you see, all I could see was, if I asked a client a question, what would you prefer? Would you prefer me to be reactive, or would you prefer me to be proactive? The answer was blindingly obvious. They always said, I prefer you to be proactive. The problem was that, as far as I could see, because I couldn't define what we were going to do to be proactive, the result was I ended up spending more time with the client, doing more work, and didn't really get paid any more for doing it. And frankly, I felt like I was giving away the value for nothing. And that's certainly initially how we started. By trying to be proactive, we gave away the value for nothing. And eventually, what we discovered was that we had to be more definitive in advance, so that essentially we could create what I call a box of proactive service, so that you could discreetly say, would you like that box of proactivity or that box of proactivity? And then you could give the client a choice, and depending what was in the boxes, would define how you were going to get paid. Does that make sense, Garrett?
That makes complete sense. I know, for me, I am no fan of hourly billing as it is. And I see it with a lot of firms I hear from today and talk to myself. They'll kind of say, yeah, the client doesn't feel value. I probably enough value for the service. And we talk about it, and kind of, as you say, it's in boxes, and the client wants the smallest box or the smallest effort, and the CPA from, well, I gave them 5 times that. Well, they're not going to pay you for that. They're going to pay you for what they want effort-wise from you. Well, we got to match that. So as always, Paul, I'd love to learn some more lessons as we kind of talk about looking at what you've already done in the future in the past with Latham. What did you learn in the past that helped you make this shift and realize the need to switch to a more value-based pricing approach than an hourly-based system?
Yeah, okay. So, I think there's a key word, but the 2 key words are defining the box and providing choices. So having worked with some clients for a while, one of the things, first of all, we discovered, if we did the equivalent of a diagnostic, we would discover a lot of problems with that particular client, or that client would identify a number of problems. But what also came out loud and clear was that most of our clients were not very clear on their future direction. So we created what I'd call a proactive service product, which we happen to call a vision workshop. And that vision workshop became if you like, a box of proactivity. It took one day to do, and the output was a prioritized one-page plan. And once you've defined that box of product, you can obviously attribute and define a price to it. But what we also then discovered was that the client would recognize that even though they'd created a plan, in this case we called it a one-page plan, they probably wouldn't follow through into action left to their own devices. In other words, they'd have good intentions, but they'd slip back into business as usual. So we anticipated that at what you call and define the pub meeting, and we created these boxes of product that we called accountability meetings. Would you like accountability meetings? Because they'll hold your feet to the flames, help you to make progress. And by the way, client, you can choose. Would you like monthly accountability meetings and you'll move faster? Would you like bi-monthly, or would perhaps you like quarterly meetings? And essentially what you're allowing the client to do was make a choice between 3 different types of box products. One was cheaper, one was more expensive. By the way, they tended to usually opt for the one in the middle. And what was great for us was what we'd done is we defined a service around proactivity. We were helping the client to make progress, but really critically, we suddenly had a reason to meet, and that was sustainable. We could keep that going for years. And we were being paid to be proactive as opposed to some more tangible thing like, for example, preparing the accounts or the tax return. Does that make sense?
That makes complete sense. And I think it's that great concept there, and you hit the nail on the head with, you gave the clients a choice. You said, I'll give you the choice of A, B, or C, and there's a different price point for A, B, or C. They pick it up front. The client's happy with what they picked. You know exactly what you have to deliver. There's no more mismatch of we providing too much or too little for that price point. So those are some great points in today's episode, Paul. I really appreciate the time sharing with us the lessons you learned along the way. And as we talk about these changes that are coming to today's firms, let me ask you, for everybody watching today, is your firm ready? Are you ready for this shift into advisory services? Hopefully, you're more prepared after watching this episode and soaking up the knowledge that Paul and the Hainrock team have to share. If you're watching and want to see how ready your firm is to become the most relevant advisor for your clients and maximize your business potential, take the Biz Survey and find out. As a special offer for watching the show, we'll provide you with the results of your Biz Survey and a quick pub meeting, as Paul likes to say. There's a link below, and I highly encourage you and your firm, check it out. Take the test. See how ready you are for future success. I want to thank everybody for watching today. Click the box, subscribe to our YouTube channel, stay up to date on all the episodes and all the shows and knowledge we have for you. And as always, we challenge you today to take action to change the world and invest in yourself.